What is up, party people? Andy McCabe here. What's up, Restoration Nation? Restoration Rebels? All y'all out there? Hey, I had a good conversation with a client today and a very contentious conversation with an adjuster today. And it all centered around this thing we call O and P, overhead and profit. And it struck me that I need to remind the world again what it means. Overhead and profit. Overhead, business overhead. Profit, what we need to stay in business. So the common line with adjusters is, especially on mitigation work, it is O&P is not warranted because the work itself, it does not require the coordination of multiple trades, or it doesn't require the insured to retain a licensed general contractor. Therefore, overhead and profit isn't owed. Well, that right there is a red herring. It is a false argument. And when we engage in that argument, we actually enable the carrier to win. And I'll tell you why. When someone says, an adjuster says, the work isn't complicated enough to warrant O&P, what do we all do? We go, oh, yes, it is. And we start trying to justify how complicated that work is, how many different trades actually go into that work, instead of saying, you don't get to tell me how much money, how much markup, how much overhead my business has. The use of overhead and profit is been misused in the restoration industry for so long. I would argue most of us don't even know what it means anymore. It's just this number that we add to stuff. Well, let me help you out here, right? My business overhead does not change whether I'm doing a mitigation job, a roofing job, a repair job, an asbestos job, a smoke job, a sewer job. My overhead doesn't change depending on what I happen to be doing on any given day, right? My need to profit doesn't change depending on what jobs I'm doing on any given day. So I've explained this thousands of times, right? What's the number one thing that comes back to me? Well, there's plenty of money in it. You shouldn't have to use a markup because overhead and profit is built into the line items. Well, let me tell you, it's not. I'm a certified Verisk pricing consultant. I've gone to the class. I've got the piece of paper to prove it. There is no overhead or profit built in to the Xactimate pricing database. There isn't. Now, there's one little spot, right? There's a labor component to these things. And the labor is quoted as a retail rate, right? That retail rate assumes a subcontractor is going to be doing this work. So there might be a little bit of margin in there, but can you define it? So when an adjuster comes to me and says, there's plenty of money in it, I just kick back to them and I say, how much money is in it? Can you show me how much margin is built in to this? There's an industry standard for charging overhead and profit on every single job. And it's up to us to defend our own bills and not put up with the nonsense. I could go on, and I'm probably going to write a paper on this. But since no one's watching, I can tell, no one's commenting, I'm going to leave it there. Overhead and profit is justified. But if you're sick of having that fight, modify your pricing to build in an appropriate margin, appropriate markup for your business. And then it's not you can't charge OMP. It's going to be, well, you can't change the pricing. It's a very different conversation. I would rather have the second conversation than the first conversation. So, well, Pearson's here. So, Pearson, do you have a take on that, or are you just getting caught up? Talking about overhead and profit, talking about how adjusters feel that they are warranted in telling restorers how much profit they deserve, right? And industry, I'm telling you right now, you deserve to make money. You deserve to cover your overhead and keep your lights on. You deserve to have some money left over at the end of the day so you can pay yourself and reinvest in your business. And if you are not getting enough money out of mitigation work without marking it up, then you're well within your rights to mark it up. Hold on a second. Let me show this here. What are some good line items in exact to build margin into without OMP? Well, it's not about the line items. It's about the underlying pricing. So there are no good line items that have more margin built in because there's no margin built in. There's zero margin built in. So you have to add that margin. Traditionally, I'll tell you what folks are doing. They're building really fat estimates and invoices using Xactimate, and then they're not performing 100% of that scope. That's it. Really simple. I'm going to charge a bunch of money for a scope of work, and then I'm going to shave off that scope of work so I can keep some money. That's a dishonest way to do it, but that's the way it's being done a lot of times. So be 100% upfront. If there's not enough money in it for you to make a reasonable profit and still cover your overhead, change the pricing or don't do the work. Remember, folks, the insurance industry needs restorers more than restorers need the insurance industry. There will never be enough restorers to cover the need, right? Go to Ohio, Nebraska. You just got hit. Go in there and see if you can flag down somebody to help you with a repair right now. You can't, right? Those folks are going to be busy for the next year over there. There's never going to be enough restorers to cover the need. And we need to charge accordingly. And we need to respect ourselves enough to charge a living price, living wage. I'm going to say this as many times as it takes. Overhead and profit is not dependent upon the specific job that you happen to be doing on any given day. All right? Be good, y'all.